In 2008, the game Dominion brought us a brand new genre of games called deck building games. And over the years, many other games have incorporated this mechanic in many ways, trying to find unique ways to use it and how to integrate it into their own games. In 2016, designer John D. Clare released a game with Alderac called Mystic Vale, which took deck building to a new level. This game uses the same deck building mechanics that you're used to, but introduces transparent cards. What's cool about that is that these transparent cards can be combined with other cards, put into a transparent sleeve to make one card that has different values and different powers. This game has been very popular since its release. It's had a lot of different expansions and a lot of twists to that same card crafting mechanic that was first introduced in 2016. I too was a big fan of this game and I played a lot early on, but there's one thing that just kind of got to me after a while. After the game was over, you had all these transparent cards that were put into transparent sleeves, and then you had to take time and you had to take each card out of the sleeve, and then there's like multiple levels of cards. There's like 3 levels of cards, and you got to sort them into level 1, and you got to sort them into level 2 and level 3 and get them all set back together so you can put them back in the box. And it was just, time consuming. Yes, I'm lazy, but that's why I'm excited that Mystic Vale is now on the Switch. The digital version of a Mystic Vale is a 1-to-1 match with the actual card game. In this game, you have level 1, 2, and 3 advancement cards that you can combine and make powerful cards in order to buy Vale cards which constantly stay in play for the goal of accumulating the most victory points. One thing I do like about this style of game is that it has an ascension feel to it, and at the very beginning of the game, based on the number of players, there's going to be a pool of victory points that you're going to try to win. As soon as everybody has accumulated all the pool of victory points, that triggers the end of the game. There's some in-game scoring, and the person with the most points at the end wins. But in your standard deck building mechanic, you're going to draw a hand of cards, and then you're going to use mana generated from those cards to go to a pool of cards to buy those to enhance your deck. But this one has a really cool twist to it, because some of these cards have an icon, a cursed icon, and if you ever have more than 3 showing in the cards that you revealed, then your turn is over and you don't get to buy anything. So this has a push your luck mechanic in that as you deal out cards, if you get up to 3, you have the option in order to push your luck and draw the next card and see if it happens to have one of the cursed icons. If it does, you bust, but if not, you can continue trying to push your luck or keep what you have and probably have more mana and more abilities to do during that turn. That is the whole cool mechanic of the game. It starts slow and builds as you add more and more cards to your deck. And again, the combining of the cards really gives some cool effects, where some cards where combined with others will give you additional points, or it will give you some additional protection against those cursed lands, potentially nullifying a cursed land so that you can get more cards out. And there is nothing more fulfilling than towards the end of the game when you play a turn and you can play like almost a half to 3/4 of your deck because you've planned it so well. As with any digital board game, I'm very curious how the tutorial is. Just so I can measure how good this tutorial is, I went and watched AEG's official tutorial for Mystic Vale. It's about 30 minutes long, it's very detailed, and tells you exactly how to play the game. Then what I did was walk through the tutorial for the game on the Switch. It walks you through step by step. It explains the anatomy of the cards, how the game turns work. It explains to you how to use the AI and interface with it. And by the end, I felt it did a pretty good job of telling you how to play the game so that you can go ahead and jump into it and get going. One thing I think the tutorial missed is explaining all the UI elements on the screen. For example, over on the left of the screen, it never really did explain what these numbers are. But after playing it, I realized, oh, okay, this is level 1, level 2, level 3 cards, how many you have left in the deck, because they're refreshed if you ever buy one at the end of your turn. And then you also have level 1 and level 2 Vale cards. Down here, these cards represent the fertile soils that can be bought at any time during the game. Those are the cheapest cards. You'll typically, hopefully, have at least 2 mana that you can always spend on those. When you play just a standard game, you can select the number of AI you'll play against. You can play anywhere from 1 to 3, and you can adjust the difficulty level of each of the AI from easy to hard. So you can make them all 1 level or different levels if you want. Once you get into the flow of the game, it's pretty quick. You're going to get cards on your turn. You're going to decide whether you want to push your luck or not. You'll take what you have. You're going to go in, you're going to buy advancement cards or Vale cards that can be put into play permanently. They give you some permanent bonuses over the rest of the course of the game. And then when you're done, it goes around to the other AI players, and they take their turns pretty quick. There's not a lot of time. They're sitting there spinning their wheels. So in just a matter of seconds, it'll be back to your turn to go again. And at any time, you can always go and look and see what they did. You can see what's in front of them by scrolling over and looking at their tables and see what they've played so far, what Vales they have out, etc. So you can always know what's going on with the AI opponent. The thing is, when you play Mystic Vale on the table, it takes up a lot of space. You've got 3 rows of advancement cards and 2 rows of Vale cards. So there's a lot of space on the table dedicated just to the market of cards that you can buy. Well, with the screen on the Switch being so small, you can't show all those cards. So you do have to do a lot of scrolling. For example, for the advancement cards, you just have one long row of level 1, then level 2, then level 3, and you can move up to the next row above it to see all the Vale cards, level 1, level 2. In your playing area, you have to scroll up and down to see what you've played from your hand, what Vale cards you have, and you can also look at your discard pile too. But if you get tired of playing against AI, you can always go online. This game does support online play. You can add friends, or you can find an open room somewhere and jump into somebody else and play a game. This way you can go head to head against other humans. Of course, it'll slow down a little bit because they may have AP, so you may be kind of waiting around for them to take their turn and everything, but you do get to play against other people. And like I said, if you have other friends that are online, you can get on with them and play with them. Over the years, there have been many expansions to Mystic Vale, and they're already starting to come out with expansions for this game on the Switch. As you can see, there's already several expansions available, so if at any time you want to build your pool of cards, you can buy those expansions, and when you start the game, you can select which expansions you want included in the decks. Here's the thing, if you're a fan of Mystic Vale, I think this is a real good port for the Switch. Yes, you do have to do a lot of moving around in the UI, but there's 2 ways you can do that. You can use the joysticks in order to move around on the UI, or you can use the touchscreen in order to slide or tap or scroll or anything like that in order to see all the cards that are available. It does take a little bit more time to go through the market to see what came out last turn, what you could buy and everything. But one nice thing is based on the amount of mana that you have or the Vale icons that you have, it'll highlight cards that you would be allowed to purchase. So you haven't got to decide, well, do I have enough to buy that one, because the UI shows you exactly what you can get during that turn. If you've never played Mystic Vale, I think this is a good intro to the game because the tutorial does a really good job of explaining how the game works, and at any time you can always go back through the tutorial section by section, or there's a glossary that you can scroll through. If you forget a rule, you can see what an icon means or exactly how a rule works. One thing I do really like about this game is the art of the cards. Now, in the basic board game, the art always looked really good, but if you notice in the video game, they've given some motion to some of the art. If you look at some of the cards, you'll notice there's slight motion in some of the graphics, and that just makes the graphics pop off the screen as opposed to just a boring static image. They've taken the time to take some of the images and give them a little bit of motion, a little bit of feel, which just makes it feel like more like a AAA title game. Here's the thing, there's not many nitpicks I have about this game. I wish the tutorial would have addressed some of the UI elements a little bit more, and you just have to get used to the fact that because there's so many cards that would be out on the table, you do have to do a lot of moving around on the screen in order to look at all the different cards in the market, etc. But other than that, it is a really, really good game. And when you're done, you don't have to take all those little cards out of those little plastic sleeves and put them back and everything, because the game does it for you. Hey, but tell me what you think. Do you like the game Mystic Vale? Would you be interested in trying it on the Switch? If so, let me know in the comments. And if you want to see more videos like these, please give me a thumbs up, a subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And as always, creative closing catchphrase.